Okay, hello. So I watched Clue recently. We call it Cluedo in Australia, I'm pretty sure. The board game, Cluedo. There's probably a bunch of versions, but it's got Professor Plum and I don't know, Miss Scarlet, Mrs. White, Reverend Green, Colonel Mustard, all the, Mrs. Peacock. Anyway, so this movie is from 1985 with Tim Curry and Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean. Who else? Eileen Brennan, who is also in Murder by Death, which I also saw recently. I've been watching all these movies because I'm sick. It's just the best way to get better is to just not do anything, to just sit down. Movies I think are good because they don't require a lot of effort. Yeah, I liked this movie. It was funny. It was enjoyable. It's not great. It's not amazing, but Tim Curry in particular, I think he's an actor that, I don't know, like along with a few others where I just think they're really, really talented and funny, and just I feel like they haven't been fully used in movies. I don't know if I like Rocky Horror Picture Show so much. I don't get the appeal of it. It just seems so weird and stupid, like random songs. Let's do the time warp again. Like, what do you mean again? No one's ever done it before. You just made up this song. It's just jump to the left, and then a step to the right. It's just put your hands on your hips. This is so arbitrary. And everyone's like, dude, like that's the movie that like when I was a kid, I think for the first time I just saw that all these adults like get up and dance and be like, yeah, and I'd be like, why adults don't normally do this? Why are adults so interested in all these childish activities? This is what kids do. Kids get up and dance and say lyrics to songs and stuff, and like, I know this. It's such a... Anyway, so that Tim Curry's in that. But yeah, this movie, it's not as funny as I think it could be. It's like, I gotta say, in common with Murder by Death, they actually feel kind of similar. The sort of the host of the party is a disappointment. It was some guy called Leaving, which I think is the funny, it's like a pun, because that means leaving. But he's kind of disappointing. You expect there to be an eccentric, interesting host to the party, like especially when you've got a cast with quite a few people that are recognizable, and Madeline Kahn is funny as well. It's disappointing to have some random guy who doesn't really say anything interesting. Yeah, the movie's doesn't really make sense. It's very silly, but I kind of like movies that are just comedies where the actors act silly and just the only thing that matters, does the comedy work, and I think it does generally. I find it funny. Apparently it had 3 endings. I watched all 3 endings. I tended to prefer the third one that I saw, but I mean, it's kind of interesting as an idea, but I'm not really a fan of that. Like, video games have this. I think it's a terrible idea, because I think you got to commit to one ending, and the whole essence of a good movie or good art is that you explore. You have this tension that it could have ended this way, it could have ended this way. Characters could do different things. There's the potential for that, but to commit, but yeah, you got to commit to an ending and take it in the most interesting direction, and surprise people, and not give it away until the last second, so that the audience thinks it could be this or it could be this, and you can even mislead the audience. You can sort of have this ending and then turn out actually there's another twist on top of that or after that. But in this case, yeah, 3 different endings. In the way it was presented was alright, because it kind of said like, there's this ending that says, oh, it could have ended this way, but actually this is what happened. So I was like, okay, geez. Let's see. I don't know if there's much else to say. It has some other references to like the board game with like these weapons. It feels like it could have made more use of some of the little things like hidden passages and characters sort of mysteriously disappearing and then reappearing and having dodgy excuses. That could have happened a bit more. It just could have been funnier, I thought. It could have been more humor. It just, at times it feels a little awkward. Ebert said something along these lines that, yeah, it feels like they want to say other things, but they're kind of just, I don't know, it's kind of like you expect a punchline sometimes, and you just sort of get characters say, hello, hello, and you think, wow, that was it. It reminds me of The Dark Knight Rises. There's a part Batman comes back to fight Bane, and Bane says, so you came back to die with your city, something like that. And Batman's like, no, I came back to stop you, something like that. You think it's like there's going to be some big, come back in your face. Like, I think a little later he says, tell me where the trigger is, then you have my permission to die. Like, that's a nice kind of boom in your face. That's like a comeback. But for that part, no, I came back to stop you. It's like, okay. It's fine, it works, but it just feels like, well, that was our moment for a big, one-liner, for, like really powerful sort of message or something, and it just doesn't happen. I did enjoy the start of the movie as well. Some of the shots of like the mansion. I'm talking about Clue again, of course. I feel like I'm jumping around, but I feel like there could have been a bit more mystery, a bit more horror, or not horror, but like sort of actual scares or surprises. I think the best thing about the movie that stands out is just Tim Curry running around frantically, and these other adults running around and being like, "Oh, what?" And just the kind of the manic energy that it has a lot of the time. And Madeline Kahn I find very funny, but even she and some of the others, they don't seem to be used to the full extent that they could be used. And it's funny Colleen Camp with her, low cut sort of maid outfit, the way she gets paired up with someone who's not particularly interested in it. You'd have to see. It's a funny, quirky movie, murder mystery. Disappointing compared to what it could be, but if you just relax and just there's plenty of little jokes that people have. If you got to listen carefully to what they say. Not brilliant, but like funny little things that give you little indicators of people's personalities. But also the plot's kind of stupid. It's a little disappointing that everyone has apparently a connection to someone else, but not in clever ways, just in arbitrary ways that they make up. That it's like there's no way for you to predict that. So it doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, so if anything, it's not really about the ending. I don't think there's any way to predict or to figure out the mystery. It's more about the comedy that happens along the way, that things get complicated further and further. There's more than one dead body. I don't think that's a spoiler. So, yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10 or even a 7 out of 10. Like, I enjoyed it. It's the movie that I would probably watch again at some stage. If I felt sick again, eventually I might rewatch it. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.